We are, well, let's see, we're on chapter 46. The awareness of being is bliss. And we just had that fantastic paragraph, which is probably one of my favorite paragraphs in quite some time. So we'll start with that. He had a question about, the questioner had said that his desires always pulled him out of his meditations. And so Maharaj gives him a very interesting piece of advice here, one that I've read several times this week, and I'm really thinking about a lot because you know how sometimes you read something and you know there's something in there, but you haven't seen it yet, but you can feel it. And so I'm kind of feeling that with this paragraph. It's like there's something in here, there's something big in here, there's a real nugget here, and I can't quite pull it out of the dirt yet. So I just reading it over and over. Maharaj says, increase and widen your desires until nothing but reality can fulfill them. Right? It is not desire that is wrong, but its narrowness and smallness. Desire is devotion. By all means, be devoted to the real, the infinite, the eternal heart of being. Transform desire into love. All you want is to be happy. All your desires, whatever they may be, are expressing your longing for happiness. Basically, you're just wishing yourself well. And so the questioner responds to that this morning by saying, I know that I shouldn't. And Maharaj is like, wait, who told you that you should not? What is wrong with wanting to be happy? Questioner, well, the self must go, I know. Maharaj, but the self is there. Your desires are there. Your longing to be happy is there. Why? Because you love yourself. By all means, love yourself wisely. What is wrong is to love yourself stupidly, so as to make yourself suffer. Love yourself wisely. Both indulgence and austerity have the same purpose in view, to make you happy. Indulgence is the stupid way. Austerity is the wise way. Wow. Do you need it any more straightforward than that? That's just. This reminds me so much of Swami Prabhupada. You know, he would talk about this kind of thing, and he would say something like from the pulpit. He says, "Why have you not realized God? Why have we not realized God? Because we are dumb." All right. So he's saying, you're here. The self is here. Why bemoan that? Your desires are here. Why bemoan that? Your longing to be happy is here. Why bemoan that? Right? Think about it. See it in the right light. If it's here, it can be perfect because the moment is perfect. So how do we see that perfection of the moment? Exactly this way, right? To understand that basically, fundamentally, you're realized. You are Satchitananda. So there's nothing wrong with you, right? You basically just want to love yourself. You want to nurture yourself. You want to take care of yourself. That's perfectly fine. But broaden, expand that selfishness, right? This takes me back to that conversation with Swami Prabhupada again, another one, where I was sitting there and telling him that I thought Vedanta was a selfish religion because, it just had me sitting in a room by myself trying to realize God. And, he quite surprised me because I was thinking I was going to sort of poke him a little and get a little bit of a reaction from him. Nope, not Swami. No reaction. He smiled. He said, yes, that is true. That is why we need to expand our idea of self to include everyone. So that your selfishness becomes service, your selfishness becomes love. When you expand the self to not just include you, but to include everyone. So he says, by all means, love yourself, but do it wisely, not stupidly, right? If we do it stupidly, which means, if we did practice selfishness or the exclusion of others or remove ourselves from the whole, that's stupidly. Love yourself wisely. Both indulgence and austerity have the same purpose in view, to make you happy. Indulgence is the stupid way. Why? Because it doesn't make you happy. It might distract you in the moment, right? It'll give you some pleasantry in the moment, but it won't give you good in your life. That's the difference, right? Always choose the good over the pleasant is what we're going for. And how do you know what the good is and the pleasant is? The good, you'll still feel good about it in the morning. The pleasant, you won't feel good about it in the morning. That's the difference between the pleasant and the good. In the moment, they seem the same, and the pleasant seems even more attractive because it's now, right? But the pleasant and the good are different in that one way. You never regret the good. You often regret the pleasant,
Right?
right?
Would it be because of ego, the difference? I
Well,
didn't quite.
the difference in them, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yes. Well, the ego. Well, everything is because of the ego. Without ego, nothing happens. So yes, it's because of the ego, but the difference is that usually the pleasant, you're being distracted by the pleasant. You're taking your mind out of your sobriety and of your awareness of the moment. Things that are good don't take your mind out of your sobriety. Things that are good allow the name of God to stay within you without any kind of conflict or weird feelings or guilt or that kind of thing. So the good doesn't need the name of God to stop. The pleasant, the point is often for the name of God to stop, right? A distraction, stepping outside of your perceived trap. Indulgence is the stupid way. Austerity is the wise way. Questioner, well, what is austerity? Maharaj, once you've gone through an experience, not to go through it again is austerity. I love Vedanta. It's just so simple. So simple, right? What is austerity? Well, once you've gone through an experience, not to go through it again is austerity. To eschew the unnecessary is austerity. Not to anticipate pleasure or pain is austerity. Having things under control at all times is austerity. Desire by itself is not wrong. It is life itself, the urge to grow in knowledge and experience. It is the choices you make that are wrong. To imagine that some little thing, like food, sex, power, fame, will make you happy is to deceive yourself. Only something as vast and deep as your real self can make you truly and lastingly happy. Right? So all of these impetuses for our desires, those are beautiful. That's Satchitananda singing its song, right? But we have to know what it is that Satchitananda is singing about. It's not singing about a bowl of ice cream. Satchitananda is not singing about another cigarette, you know, or your ninth piece of cake. What is Satchitananda singing about? God, present everywhere, shining and glittering in all things. Expand your desire for the whole thing, not just little pieces that fall on a cake plate, right? Expand your desire for the whole thing and know that to be God, to know that to be that divinity. Right? Only something. See, this is great. These two sentences right here, if we could just remember them at the right time. To imagine that some little thing, something like food or sex or power or fame, is going to make you happy. That's deceiving yourself. That's lying to yourself, right? That's where the deception is happening. Oh, that's going to make me happy. It hasn't made anybody in the history of the world happy. It's never even fulfilled a person. It's not going to fulfill you, except for anywhere from 3 minutes to 6 hours. I think probably all desire can only fulfill you for somewhere in that period of time, for 3 minutes to 6 hours, maybe. Is that true? I think that's probably true. Desire is so temporarily fulfilling that you're basically banking on 3 minutes to 6 hours anytime you fulfill one. Whereas with the divine, it just keeps getting better and better. And actually, it's kind of funny, at least I find in my own mind, one of the problems I've had to deal with is that as life gets better, my mind rebels because it's actually attached to its problems. It's actually attached to its limitations because it's grown comfortable with its limitations. And when you start expanding those things, that foolish thing sometimes puts up a fight, starts getting sulky, because it wants its old problems back. It wants its old way of thinking back. And so we have to keep the expansion happening. We have to grow into the new space in our inner self. So the questioner says, well, since there's nothing basically wrong in desire as an expression of love of self, how should desire be managed? Maharaj, well, live your life intelligently, with the interests of your deepest self always in mind. After all, what do you really want? Not perfection. You are already perfect. What you seek is to express in action what you are. Right? We talked about that. That's the only purpose that life can have because life is in the moment. So it can't have a purpose that requires a narrative. It has to have a purpose like a candle has a purpose. A candle is just sitting there in the moment burning its flame, right? That's what it does. You give it purpose by reading a book by it. But the candle is just sitting there burning its flame. And this is how you and I live. We're candles, we're lights of awareness that are just sitting here burning our light of awareness, right? And we express that. We express that light because that light in us is not a neutral light. Well, actually, no light is neutral. All light is necessary for life. But the light in us is a light of awareness, a light of Satchit Ananda. So it's not a neutral light, it's a healing light, right? It's a light that every time you remember your nature, every time you place your awareness on itself, healing begins because you are Satchit Ananda. There's nothing like perfect love to comb out a tangle in your character. There's nothing like an abiding wisdom to relax into, to know that the moment is going to be fine, that all will be well, right? And there's nothing like the mystery of being to awaken your bliss, to show your bliss to you. Live your life intelligently with the interests of your deepest self always in mind. After all, what do you really want? Not perfection. You are already perfect. What you seek is to express in action what you are. For this, you have a body and mind. Take them in hand and make them serve you. Right? Who is you? Satchitananda. So make your body and mind serve a pure love, serve a pure wisdom through a pure being. The questioner, well, who is the operator here? Who is to take the body-mind in hand? Maharaj, the purified mind. This is a tricky answer here. The purified mind is the faithful servant of the self. It takes charge of the instruments, inner and outer, and makes them serve their purpose. Right? The purified mind. That's not the ego self. So it's not you being the doer, right? So there's not a conflict in that regard here. Someone's the doer, he says, but what is that doer? Purified mind. Now this is why it's interesting, because according to Thakur, purified mind, the pure mind and Brahman are one and the same. But here he's given pure mind. He's not calling it pure mind, he's saying purified mind. So it could be in process, I suppose, because otherwise he's giving some form of action to Brahman, which he's not doing because he's talking about purified, I think. I don't know, make that distinction. So the purified mind is the faithful servant of the self. Your mind with no me and mine in it is the faithful servant of yourself, the self. It takes charge of the instruments, inner and outer, and makes them serve their purpose. Questioner, and what is their purpose? Maharaj, the self is universal and its aims are universal. There is nothing personal about the self. Live an orderly life, but don't make it a goal by itself. It should be the starting point for high adventure. There's a beautiful little piece of insight right there. Right? So it's not the condition of your life that's the end goal. It's not being a pure person that's the end goal. It's not any of your practices or disciplines that are the end goal. Right? Going to the temple, not the end goal. But all of it, all of those things are nothing but the starting point for high adventure. If you really open to these things, look out. Look out. An adventure will unfold in you. Just to live life with the amount of energy that accumulates in the body when we're living a spiritually honest life, the zest for life that happens within us, the insights that come to us, the intimacy that we can feel just by standing with somebody is what comes to us. This machine, this body-mind complex, turns into quite a jewel of an experience machine when it's being lived in a spiritual way, when it's being respected for what it actually is. And that's when life becomes adventurous. The adventure, anyway, yes, the adventure within is much greater than the adventure without. You know, outside, it's more of the same, just different colors and shapes. But basically, whatever country you go to, they eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They cook their food. They wear clothes. They comb their hair. They talk to each other. They fight. They they say they're sorry, right? It's life going on everywhere. Slight differences, slight variations, enough to interest you for a while. But if you've traveled for a year, at the end of that year, you start thinking about your own bed again, right? And so the real adventure is within, because the real adventure within changes everything, right? The adventure within changes the world outside of you. You will feel like you live in a different world as you grow spiritually, because the world will treat you differently as you grow spiritually. And you start seeing and understanding, wow, I can't understand this thing I'm trying to understand. The self is universal and its aims are universal. So you live for everyone. You live for everything. There's not a particular in your being. There's nothing personal about you, right? You see God everywhere and you act accordingly. That's all you're doing. That's who you are and what you are in your pure form, right? You're not this person that's limited by this story. You know, a housewife who trapped in a house under a mean husband who's constantly having to do this, that, or the other and obey this, that, or the other. That's by the side. That's trivial. It doesn't matter. Your adventure is within. And that adventure within can take place in any circumstance outside, any condition outside. It's always your own. And it is the only way out to learn to live universally in response to Satchitananda as yourself. Can take any circumstance. Circumstances, conditions of life do not matter. They do not matter as much as our ego is so deeply and firmly convinced that conditions and circumstances are the utmost importance, and to keep them in comfortable states is the point of life, according to the ego. Not so. They're trivial and unimportant. And you need to let the conditions and circumstances of your life fall back to that level, trivial and unimportant. What's important is the how that is within. How are you living in those conditions and those circumstances? Are you expressing your nature? Are your decisions giving you an opportunity to express a deeper love, to express a deeper kindness? Are your conditions and circumstances being used to create something beautiful, right? To give, not something beautiful for you to sit and look at, but something beautiful to give and to share. This is where we're coming to. So there is nothing personal about you. Live an orderly life, but don't make that the goal by itself. It should be a starting point for high adventure. Questioner, do you advise me to come to India repeatedly? Maharaj, if you are earnest, this is a big statement right here. If you are earnest, you don't need moving about. Right? So restlessness is an indication of lack of earnestness, perhaps. He seems to be suggesting here. If you are earnest, you don't need moving about. You are yourself wherever you are, and you create your own climate, right? So he's making that age-old statement, wherever you are, there you are. You will recreate the world you live in right now in Paris, if you move to Paris. You'll put the same characters in it. You'll have the same people in it that you are going to argue with and fight with. You know, I used to have a roommate like that. I watched this roommate get several jobs in a row. And he would come home, you know, and talk about his day at the job. And I got to know him over several years. And I began to realize that every time he changed his jobs, he reconstructed the same dynamics in the new job that he had in the old job. There was always one person that he hated above all in the office that was always out to get him, you know, and it was usually somebody in authority. There was always somebody who was utterly incompetent, who was always causing troubles for him, right? And it really made me think a lot. And I kind of realized, you know, if I right now in this moment teleported myself out to some distant point in space, I and all of my karma, all of my samskaras, all of my thoughts about myself, all of my thoughts about the world would all be there with me. I would reconstruct the world of Swami C out in the middle of nowhere. Right? And so this is why the importance of knowing who we are, because that establishes our perspective from which we view everything. So if you are earnest, you don't need moving about. You are yourself wherever you are, and you create your own climate. Locomotion and transportation will not give you salvation. You are not the body, and dragging the body from place to place will take you nowhere. Your mind is free to roam the three worlds. Make full use of it. Right? Observe and observe carefully. And don't let the details slip by you unnoticed. Questioner, if I am free, why am I in a body? Maharaj, you're not in the body. The body is in you. The mind is in you. They happen to you. They are there because you find them interesting. Your very nature has the infinite capacity to enjoy. It is full of zest and affection. It sheds its radiance on all that comes within its focus of awareness, and nothing is excluded. It does not know evil nor ugliness. It hopes, it trusts, it loves. You people do not know how much you miss by not knowing your own true self. You are neither the body nor the mind, neither the fuel for the fire. They appear and disappear according to their own laws. That which you are, your true self, you love it. And whatever you do for your own happiness. To find it, to know it, to cherish it, is your basic urge. Since time immemorial, you loved yourself, but never wisely. Use your body and mind wisely in the service of the self. That is all. Be true to your own self. Love yourself absolutely. Do not pretend that you love others as yourself. Unless you have realized them as one with yourself, you cannot love them. Don't pretend to be what you are not. Don't refuse to be what you are. Your love of others is the result of self-knowledge, not its cause. Without self-realization, no virtue is genuine. When you know beyond all doubting that the same life flows through all that is, and you are that life, you will love all naturally and spontaneously. When you realize the depth and fullness of your love of yourself, you know that every living being and the entire universe are included in your affection. But when you look at anything as separate from you, you cannot love it, for you are afraid of it. Alienation causes fear, and fear deepens alienation. It is a vicious cycle. Only self-realization can break it. Go for it, resolutely. I think that's the first time I've seen that in scriptures. Go for it. Go for it resolutely. Do not be wobbly. Don't be wishy-washy. Decide what you want in your life. Sit down. Have a conversation. What do you want? Analyze it well. And don't be wishy-washy. Go. Make sure it's not a symbol for what you want. Make sure it's actually what you want. That's the secret. If you run after the symbols, you end up with symbols. You can't eat a symbol. Right? But find the real thing that you want. What all of your desires, that thing that all of your desires indicate. What is it? And get it. Yeah. All right, chapter 47, watch your mind. Anyone have anything they want to say or add before we jump into the new chapter? Hello, Liz. All right. Watch your mind. That last paragraph actually is going to end up in something, maybe today's vlog, I don't know. Chapter 47, watch your mind. Questioner. In one's search for the, you know what? I'm going to read that whole paragraph again. I'm wanting to go on, but my mind or mother or however you want to point at it is standing on my toe saying, no, read that again. You are not in the body. The body is in you. The mind is in you. They happen to you. They are there because you find them interesting. Your very nature has the infinite capacity to enjoy. It is full of zest and affection. It sheds its radiance on all that comes within its focus of awareness, and nothing is excluded. It does not know evil nor ugliness. It hopes, it trusts, it loves. You people do not know how much you miss by not knowing your own true self. You are neither the body nor the mind, neither the fuel for the fire. They appear and disappear according to their own laws. That which you are, your true self, you love it, and whatever you do for your own happiness. To find it, to know it, to cherish it is your basic urge. Since time immemorial, you loved yourself, but never wisely. Use your body and mind wisely in the service of the self. That is all. Be true to your own self. Love yourself absolutely. Do not pretend that you love others as yourself. Unless you have realized them as one with yourself, you cannot love them. Don't pretend to be what you are not. Don't refuse to be what you are. Your love of others is the result of self-knowledge, not its cause. Let's see, so it's not a practice for realization. It's the result of realization that you love everyone as yourself. Right? So it's not a practice, it's a result. Your love of others is the result of self-knowledge. It's not its cause. Without self-realization, no virtue is genuine. When you know beyond all doubting that the same life flows through all that is, and you are that life, then you will love all naturally and spontaneously. When you realize the depth and fullness of your love of yourself, you know that every living being and the entire universe are included in your affection. But when you look at anything as separate from you, you cannot love it, for you are afraid of it. Alienation causes fear, and fear deepens alienation. It is a vicious circle. Only self-realization can break it. Go for it, resolutely. There is so much beauty in there. There is so much beauty in there. This love for ourselves that we often feel, we make it put our attention on egoism and we feel guilty for it. But the urge to love ourselves is in fact the urge to love everything. And all we have to come to know is that. And then we love ourselves deeply, infinitely. And we become a blessing to everything, to ourselves. Right? So watch your mind. The questioner. In one's search for the essential, one soon realizes one's inadequacy and the need for a guide or a teacher. This implies a certain discipline for you are expected to trust your guide and follow implicitly his advice and instruction. Yet the social urgencies and pressures are so great, personal desires and fears are so powerful, that the simplicity of mind and will, essential in obedience, are not forthcoming. How to strike a balance between the need for a guru and the difficulty in obeying him implicitly? If that's not the central question of life right there, huh? Maharaj, what is done under pressure of society and circumstances does not matter much, for it is mostly mechanical, merely reacting to impacts. It is enough to watch oneself dispassionately, to isolate oneself completely from what is going on. What has been done without minding, blindly, may add to one's karma, otherwise it hardly matters. The guru demands one thing only: clarity and intensity of purpose, a sense of responsibility for oneself. The very reality of the world must be questioned. Who is the guru, after all? He who knows the state in which there is neither the world nor the thought of it. He is the supreme teacher. To find him means to reach the state in which imagination is no longer taken for reality. Please, understand that the guru stands for reality, for truth, for what is. He is a realist in the highest sense of the term. He cannot and shall not come to terms with the mind and its delusions. He comes to take you to the real. Don't expect him to do anything else. The guru you have in mind, one who gives you information and instructions, is not the real guru. The real guru is he who knows the real, beyond the glamour of appearances. To him, your questions about obedience and discipline do not make sense, for in his eyes, the person you take yourself to be does not exist. Your questions are about a non-existing person. What exists for you does not exist for him. What you take for granted, he denies absolutely. He wants you to see yourself as he sees you. Then you will not need a guru to obey and follow, for you will obey and follow your own reality. Realize that whatever you think yourself to be is just a stream of events, that while all happens, comes and goes, You alone are the changeless among the changeful, the self-evident among the inferred. Separate separate the observed from the observer, and abandon false identifications. Boy, it's incredible the amount of information that's in those two paragraphs. I mean, truly, you could write books, miss several of them, on just those two paragraphs. I mean, I read those things and I'm like, there's so much there that I'm not quite sure what to do. Because literally, we could take an hour on both of those paragraphs easily and talk about all the levels of implication that are there. Right? So he's saying that basically anything that you do, if you do it mindlessly, the worst it's going to do is add to some karma. But mostly it just doesn't matter. Mostly it's just, and you come to know that. Look at all that's the thing. Look in the world. I look at my life. Look at all the things that everybody has done to try and change the world, since we've been born. And yet, is it not really, in its essence, the same experience every day? It's like, with all of that effort of changing and with all of those machinations we've gone through and all of the crazy things happening all the time, you look out there, it's going to look the same every day. It's a life lived without purpose, a life lived without focus, without awareness. Basically doesn't matter. It just comes and goes like the seasons. It's mechanical and it's merely reacting to what happens. He says it's enough to watch oneself dispassionately, right? To watch oneself without a vested interest in the unimportant. To isolate oneself completely from what's going on. You're a passenger. You're an observer. Observe deeply and allow Satchitananda to respond to it. What has been done without minding blindly may add to one's karma, otherwise it hardly matters. The guru demands one thing only: clarity and intensity of purpose. So you know who you are. You know that the purpose of your life is to realize that, to express Satchitananda. So that's your clarity. That's your clarity of purpose. And then so clarity and intensity of purpose, a sense of responsibility for oneself, right? A responsibility that you take to yourself for all that you do. It's your responsibility to get yourself. Okay. It's your responsibility to rely on Mother to get yourself taken forward in one scenario. Otherwise, it's you that's responsibility for your own karma. Deal with it and transcend it through grace, right? The very reality of the world must be questioned, right? Is this really as it seems? That's why you start in the morning rubbing your bed on each side of your legs as you sit there and think, I am entering the mind of God. Today I live in the mind of God. This is all mind stuff. These are all symbols of my mind for pieces of God that have come in through the senses. And here I am. And that's all I will ever know. Here I am. And that will be enough. Because the I that is love and wisdom. Right? So who is the guru after all? Right? He is that enlightened soul who never even thinks of this world. He is the supreme teacher, and he exists within you as your own self. He is how you know when you're going forward or backward. You feel it in yourself. The guru you have in mind, the one who gives you information and instructions, is not the real guru, right? That's why we call them the faces of the guru. The real guru is he who knows the real, beyond the glamour of appearances. To him, your questions about obedience and discipline don't make any sense. In his eyes, the persons you take yourself to be does not exist. Your questions about this non-existent person, what exists for you does not exist for him. What you take for granted, he denies absolutely. He wants you to see yourself as he sees you. Then you will not need a guru to obey and follow, for you will obey and follow your own reality, which ultimately is the guru, right? It's your reality that pokes you when you do something wrong. It's your reality that hurts you when you get angry at your friend or you say something impolite to a stranger, right? It's the moment itself that instantly lets you know, pokes you, says, hey, why did you do that? Whoa, why did I act that way, right? Separate the observed from the observer and abandon false identifications. Stop identifying with things your mind is telling you. Identify instead with the silence that is watching the mind. You are silent by nature. Questioner. In order to find the reality, one should discard all that stands in the way. On the other hand, the need to survive within a given society compels one to do and endure many things. Does one need to abandon one's profession and one's social standing in order to find reality? Maharaj, do your work. When you have a moment free, look within. What is important is not to miss the opportunity when it presents itself. If you are earnest, you will use your leisure fully. That is enough. Right? No big heroic, I got to run out and buy a cape and tights to do this properly. Not necessary. Go save the widow on the corner. Forget the cape and tights. Just do it. Do your work. Don't do anything extra. You don't have to do anything extra out there, right? It's not what you're doing. You don't have to go change your life's profession. It's how you do it. Go to the same job and do it differently. Do it for a different reason. Don't do it for the paycheck. Do it because Mother has placed you there to love some people that she's going to bring there every day. And so you go there to love those people, right? You go there to serve those people. You go there to realize your oneness with those people and do your job in that light. I promise you, you're going to get an Employee of the Year award before long. Because someone who sheds light and love through an office is way more important than someone who can churn out paperwork. Now, it doesn't mean you don't do that. You still do that, but you do it for a very different reason. And you don't forget that reason. I am love. My existence is love. My point of life is love. And so here I am. I'll love. And so you do it. Do your work, and when you have a moment free, look within. Right? We've got tons of times during the day where there's a 5-minute break. Right? He says in that 5 minutes, just sit down for a moment. Don't miss the opportunity. Recenter yourself. Go within. He says, what is important? So this is important. He says the one thing that's important in all of this, don't miss an opportunity when it presents itself. If you get a free moment, look within. Do it. Don't miss the opportunity by picking up the solitaire game, by flipping through your Instagram feed, for looking at YouTube shorts. Right? I'm sitting here correcting myself as I list these things to you, the things that have stolen these opportunities from me, right? If you are earnest, you will use your leisure fully, right? You'll use your free time for the right thing. Your free time will go to the most important thing in your life, your realization. And he says, that's enough. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do these heroic things. So the questioner, well, in my search for the essential and discarding the unessential, is there any scope for creative living? For instance, I love painting. Will it help me if I give my leisure hours to painting? Maharaj, whatever you may have to do, watch your mind. Also, you must have moments of complete inner peace and quiet when your mind is absolutely still. If you miss it, you miss the entire thing. If you do not, the silence of the mind will dissolve and absorb everything else. Right? So it doesn't matter. Paint your picture. Do your pottery. Write your letters. Whatever. Live your life. Whatever you do, right? Ramakrishna says, whatever you do, just hold a 16th of your mind on itself. Don't lose that self-awareness. Don't lose sight of your purpose. Don't lose sight of your nature, what you are. Remember it through the whole day. Can somebody tell that I'm a being made of love by the way I'm cleaning this house? Can somebody know that I'm a being of love by the way I talked to the maid, by the way I checked my mail, by the way I went to the grocery store, right? Because there's a very different way of living, a very different atmosphere around the person who knows where they are at all times, right? Who knows? I'm in a dream and I'm everybody in here. And we're going to have a great time together today. Right? Just walking out the door like that. I'm in a dream. It is the dream of my beloved. Everything is for love. Let me walk out the door in that light today. So whatever you may have to do, watch your mind. Also, you must have moments of complete inner peace and quiet, which you will. And we normally coast right through those. We're not even aware at the moment how much peace we're feeling. So he says, don't miss them, right? When your mind is absolutely still, if you miss it, you'll miss the entire thing. That's the whole point. If you do not, the silence of the mind will dissolve and absorb everything. That peace that passes understanding will be yours. If you don't abstractedly live through those peaceful moments without being aware of them. And if you don't learn to live through your noisy moments as the observer of them. Your difficulty lies in your wanting reality and being afraid of it at the same time. You are afraid of it because you do not know it. The familiar things are known. You feel secure with them. The unknown is uncertain and therefore dangerous. But to know reality is to be in harmony with it. And in harmony, there is no place for fear. An infant knows its body, but not the body-based distinctions. It is just conscious and happy. After all, that was the purpose for which it was born. The pleasure to be is the simplest form of self-love, which later grows into the love of the self. Be like an infant, with nothing standing between the body and the self. The constant noise of the psychic life is absent. In deep silence, and the self contemplates the body. It is like the white paper on which nothing is written yet. Be like that infant. Instead of trying to be this or to be that, be happy to be. You will be fully awakened. You will be a fully awakened witness of the field of consciousness. But there should be no feelings and ideas to stand between you and the field. Questioner, well, to be content with mere being seems to be a most selfish way of passing time. Maharaj, a most worthy way of being selfish. By all means be selfish by foregoing everything but the self. But when you love the self and nothing else, you go beyond the selfish and the unselfish. All distinctions lose their meaning. Love of one and love of all merge together in love, pure and simple, addressed to none, denied to none. Stay in that love. Go deeper and deeper into it. Investigate yourself and love the investigation. and you will solve not only your own problems, but also the problems of humanity. You will know what to do. Do not ask superficial questions. Apply yourself to fundamentals, to the very roots of your being. All right. That is a perfect place to stop for the day.